Okay, we are live here at the Emily and
Awesome.
Lindsay Liscio show.
I re- I really I have a surprise for you somewhat soon. You'll notice it one day. I won't point it out, but you'll see it one day next week.
That sounds
So I'll just leave
horrible.
you with that. Yeah.
Anyways, hello everybody.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope the deadline went okay for you guys. We were definitely thinking about you guys this week. We know it's always stressful time. Thank you guys for joining us. So we'll wait and have a few more people file in and then we'll kind of get started. Just Emily and I today, we're going to be talking about organizing clients and team members 101. Have a lot of great stuff for you. Some of these features you guys may have used before, but we wanted to kind of get into like the hairy sections of them, right? So the things that we know a lot about, but you guys may not have encountered yet. So, and then yeah, I guess, Emily, you can go ahead and go to the next slide if you want for me.
All right, let's get started.
Oh, hi, Gordon. I see you in the chat. Hi, Gordon. So nice to see you. Well, I wish I could see you, but I can't, but you can see us. But
And we have Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle.
hi, Michelle. Yeah, and who would have thought that we were going to be mentioning the YouTube channel? Who would have thought? So one thing I actually wanted to thank all of you guys on here if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you guys actually qualified us for a custom URL for YouTube. So now we are
Woo!
actually, yeah, I know, I'm super pumped about that. We are actually at youtube.com/c/LicioCX. So we are going to be posting the recorded webinar after, so it'll probably be later tonight or tomorrow morning that we'll post it. And then, obviously if you got to dip out early, you guys can go back and review it. I also did want to mention, we are going to have a few polls in the webinar. One at the very end. If you guys have been on our webinars before, we like to offer resource packages at the very end. So we'll have a poll up there, ask you if you would like the resource package. The resource package, I will list these again, but we're going to send you guys the webinar slides and then a few resources that kind of dive into the features we're covering a little bit more. And then I did also want to mention, we will do Q&A. We're going to try and take questions as we go through the webinar as well, just because we want to answer them live, try and get a little bit more engagement. And you guys will always hear me say this on the webinars. If you've been here before, you've heard me say it. Please try and keep questions in the Q&A section of Zoom. It helps organize it a little bit more. And then also try and keep them relevant to what we're talking about today, just because we have a lot we got to cover. But if you have questions outside of what we're covering today, obviously send us a quick note. You can email us at support@liscio.me. And then Emily, you can go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Perfect. So here's what we're going to cover today. We have 4 sections that we're going to be covering. Emily's going to cover the first 2. I will cover the last 2. We're going to talk about the client service team and how you are going to route messages to the correct people. And there is also a feature we will talk about that allows you to limit your contact recipient list to just the client service team. We're going to talk a little bit about the alerts, how you handle them, how you signal to the team that the file was uploaded. We'll talk about how to set up a contractor, part-time seasonal employee to kind of limit their access a little bit. And then we're going to talk about restricted accounts. Restricted accounts are great if you have like a firm owner account or you have a client that doesn't want all of the firm employees to see their account information. We'll show you everything about that feature as well. So without further ado, I will let Emily take over. I'm going to mute myself and let her take over and we'll dive in.
All right, guys, we're super excited for this one today because we know that this is extremely important when you have a full team working in Liscio, but also if there's just some information you haven't heard about yet, we're going to help to uncover some of that with these 4 topics. So to get started, the client service team. I'm sure if you're a firm partner, some days you may feel like this, kind of all over the place, a lot of stuff coming in. People know your name. It's probably on the building itself, on your websites. So they're going to think you're superhuman and you do everything all by yourself, which you guys are superhuman. But we also know that you want a little extra help from your team. So going to get rid of this craziness and help you look more like this cool guy, which is why we're going to talk about how using the client service team will get you into a better workflow and a better feeling. I like the way he nods. I could watch this all the time.
I know. I love this guy.
All right, so we told you we're going to have some polls. Here is the first one. So we are just going to ask you here a little bit about the client service team. And if you have ever used it, please go ahead and answer the poll.
Yeah, you guys know we like data, so we got to ask you guys polls.
Oh,
So,
you betcha.
yeah. Oh, you betcha. Yeah, that's definitely you, Miss. All right. So I guess we'll leave it up for maybe 10 more seconds.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, have a 10-second countdown. Do you ever watch Big Comfy Couch?
I've never heard of it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't need to get into it. But there's this part where it's called the 10-second tidy up. We're all right. Regardless.
We'll recap with that.
Yeah, we'll recap with that.
We'll let you guys know the next time how that went.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 more. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Debbie said, "Love the Big Comfy Couch." Me too. It was great. So we'll take a look at those answers after the webinar. Thank you guys so much for that.
So I'm glad you guys are here because about 54% of you said that you've never used it, don't really even know what it might be. And so you are in the right place here today. So what is the client service team? I'm sure you've seen maybe this little client service team notification with a circle on each account, but you may not really know or understand what that is. So there's actually a max of 5 employees per account that you can add to receive notifications for those clients. And once an alert goes out, it is going to go to all client service team members. So that way, maybe you have a team of 6 people, you could route notifications to, max of 5. But if there are 2 people in particular for an account, you can make sure that just those 2 people get all of the important notifications. So we want to talk to you a little bit about, first of all, what those alerts look like, and then I'm going to break down what alerts are for you next. So in your inbox, there is a section at the top called the Alerts tab. And so you'll find that there are going to be alerts coming through if you're on a client service team, and they'll look like this. You'll notice that there's going to be new file uploads and account profile updates. You will also find the Alert Center on the homepage, which I'll show you in a little bit, but we want to also highlight the Notification Center. So anytime you get an alert alongside of all your other notifications, it will be in the Notification Center on the left-hand menu. You'll notice right here you can see one, and you can also see those for the new files. Okay, 2 specific items that we're going to talk about are the types of alerts. The first one is a manual file upload. We'll start there. And then the second one is going to be account profile changes made by those account owners. So number 1, file uploads. If your clients simply upload a file into Liscio, it's not part of a message thread, it's not part of a task, they manually upload it. We are setting up the client service team to receive these alerts. That way, your team can decide who this file should be taken care of by, whether it's a payroll file, tax file, etc. So let's break down a manual file upload. A manual file upload is when your client in their browser or their mobile phone chooses just to upload the file. So it's not going to be, like I said earlier, attached to a message thread or a task. It's also not a new message when it's considered a manual file uploaded. We will let you know that with the update to our alerts earlier this year, if your client decides to put a message alongside their file upload, we will route it automatically to your inbox. So just know if there's anything in the alerts, there's no communication or message from your client. It's simply just a notification. I'm going to pause on that for a second, let you guys kind of digest this slide and see if there's any questions that we want to read out loud. Lindsay, anything that could be helpful?
No questions at the moment. I did have one question just about the handouts, so I'll just mention that. We had a question, where do we get the handouts? So that is going to be at the poll at the very end. You're going to answer that poll that'll let us know who wants the handout. So just wanted to shout that out.
Perfect. All right, so this is how, this is what we mean by manual file upload. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Account profile changes. So before we get into this, remember your clients, your contacts have to be set up as an account owner in order to make these profile changes. So if an account owner goes in and makes any changes to that account's overview, or maybe they invite a contact, or maybe they change some payroll information, login information, you will get notified. The entire client service team will get notified. And what I really love about this feature and the notification is it shows you the previous value and the new value. So you know exactly what has been changed and what it was before. All right, so that's a little bit about what you receive as part of the client service team. Now, there are two options. We're going to talk a little bit about your client's recipient lists and how you can actually give them specific access to who can receive this type of information. So option one is the default. So when you get Liscio, the standard is all employees will show up in your client's recipient list. And that's for messages and that's for file uploads. What you'll notice here is that clients can choose any recipient. So they could choose myself, as you see here. And in a file upload, once they select the account, as you see in that left side image, what Liscio is going to do in manual file uploads is it's going to then populate the entire client service team. You'll notice that on the second image. So that's how we help to make sure the entire client service team is notified with a manual upload. Your client only has to select one recipient and one account. Once they select the account, Liscio will automatically add the rest of the client service team, okay? Option two, let's say you're kind of like the first slide we showed you, a little bit crazy and getting all the information because they know your name, they know who you are. And so maybe you want to limit your client's recipient list. So this is an optional feature. It can be turned on by requesting it through our team, and it will allow you to actually limit your client's recipient list to just the client service team. So if you're, maybe you have 10 people in your firm and you add people to the client service team and then you set on the restriction, your clients can only select between the maximum of 5 people that are on that client service team. So it is a really great way to also guide them to selecting the appropriate people to send their information to. So just to clarify, that bottom, the section on the left-hand side that says message equals restricted recipient list and your client chooses from that list. File uploads, again, they're going to auto add everybody on the client service team. So I'm going to pause there and see if we have questions about that.
Yeah, we had a question that just came in from what we had talked about just a few slides ago.
Sure.
Leanne asked, who exactly is an account owner?
Oh, great question. Why don't I pop out of here really quick and let's see. I'm going to go into a client side account. Can everybody see this? Can you see that, Lindsay?
Yep, looks good.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm in as Stephanie right here. And you're on the firm side, you can actually designate contacts to be account owners. So you'll find a little checkbox on the contact or account section, and it says account owner. So only the firm can assign this. But what that does is when your client logs in, as I am logged in as a client now, they'll have extra privileges. They'll be able to view and edit extra tabs here at the top, like you can see. And they can also, on the left-hand side here, invite a contact into Liscio. Then if I go to an account here for Stephanie where she's not an account owner, Bleecker Street Cafe, I click on that and you'll notice she just gets overview of some very basic information. So she can't view and edit any additional information or any additional files on this account.
Perfect. Another question comes from Debbie. She's asking, can we forward messages to other client service team members?
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit here. I'm going to pop back into our slides because I think that is coming up here in just a moment. So when you do get, yeah, that's exactly perfect, Debbie. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about managing files that come in as alerts. So, you know, like Debbie had asked, what if you want to send it to somebody else? Maybe you have a few other questions. Did somebody take care of this? Where are the client files? What do we do next? So we don't want you running around like this guy. And if you're in our last webinar, you probably saw him. And hopefully if you followed our instructions from last time, you don't feel like this. But I'll walk you through what to do as far as managing files. But first, let's address Debbie's question. So if you want to forward something to a member of your team, you're actually going to have a few options. So I'm going to pop in here and let's say you get an alert. You'll notice it's on my home page, but I can go into my inbox. And let's say we get an alert that we want to forward to somebody else. So Stephanie sent over some files. You have 3 options. So if you want to let Stephanie know that you've received it and that Lindsay is going to be taking care of it from here, I'm going to go into the additional field and add Lindsay in as another recipient of this alert. And then I can just give Stephanie some positive confirmation. Yes, we've received all of your source documents or your payroll. Lindsay's going to take it from here. So Lindsay will take it from here. Once I do that, Lindsay's going to get looped in to whatever has been sent in this alert, and Stephanie's going to get the positive confirmation that yes, our team is working on it. So that's option 1. Option 2, you, as you know, many firms have their own sources of internal communication. There's Slack, there's Teams, and so forth. So you can always just, you know, chat with somebody, say, hey, I've got something for you. Go ahead and check it out in Liscio. I want you to take care of it. That's an option. What's really nice is you can grab this URL at the very top of your browser. And if you paste that into your internal communication, whoever receives it in your firm can use that link to get exactly to the alert that you're talking about and see the files attached. So that's option 2, internal communication. Option 3, you can take and copy this link. And if you don't want to send a message or let your client know that you're trying to pass this on to somebody else, that's okay. You can copy the link, add a new to-do task. I'm going to send it to Lindsay. She might not need much information, but maybe I want to let her know that this is for Stephanie's account here. And then I just say, please review and complete. And then I can just paste that link right here. Once I send it to Stephanie, she uses that link to see all the information that Stephanie had sent over. And then I can track that Lindsay is getting this project taken care of. So since I put it into a task, I have complete visibility across this task and will Lindsay can let me know when this is completed. Okay, any questions we'd like to address here?
I just have to say, Debbie said, sorry, Lindsay, now that she's bombarding your to-do list.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, we actually had a really good question that I think is definitely relevant for alerts. Mary asked, if you send a message in response to an alert, does it stay in the alerts or will it move to the inbox?
Great question. So yes, let's go ahead and get another task on Lindsay's to-do list. There you go, Lindsay.
Thanks. I just got the notification.
Oh, perfect. Got to get that firm dash app, guys. Okay, so earlier you saw me send this message to Lindsay in my alert section. If I pop back out to my inbox, you'll actually see that it has been automatically routed into the inbox. So for Lindsay, this is actually going to come through as an inbox notification for her. And then your client and you and Lindsay are all attached to this message thread. And you can also see if there's any other communication and stay up to date with what's going on here.
Yeah, and this is a really good question actually that just came in that we can actually address right from the screen.
Awesome.
Mona asked, when you send a message via contact, how do I move that message to the account?
Oh, excellent. Okay. So let's say that, Stephanie uploaded some of this information under Bleecker Street Cafe. Let's say that this was actually meant for her art exhibit. So when I replied to Lindsay, or you can always do it as you reply to your client, you can go ahead and add the recipient in. So I'm going to go ahead and add the client in again. And I'm just going to route it to the correct account by selecting Andrew's art exhibit down here. So as soon as I comment on, send this message here, this entire thread is going to get shared with Andrew's art exhibit. So that's how I'm going to route it from Bleecker Street Cafe, and now it's going to be copied under Andrew's art exhibit as well.
Perfect. We do have another question. Thomas asked. We can just answer this live. He asked, "Can we send a message to the service team member and copy and paste the link there?" Yeah, you can. So what's really cool about Liscio is you'll notice like all of the URLs in Liscio are unique. So whether it's a task, whether it's a message thread, whether it's a file, you can copy that URL and paste it. You can paste it in Slack or Microsoft Teams if you want. And as long as they're logged into Liscio, they're going to be able to follow that link and go right to the area that you're talking with them about. Really good questions, guys.
Awesome. Okay. So let's move on to the next section here. We were talking a little bit how to manage incoming files through your alert section. And so talking a little bit about the ideal workflow. Again, this is in our last webinar. So if you want some more detail and a walkthrough of how this looks, feel free to go to that last webinar and check it out. But the ideal workflow is FAA. You're going to filter to find the right file in your file section, add a tag, something like downloaded or saved, and then lastly, you're going to archive it. The last thing you guys want to worry about is filtering through hundreds of pages of files. That's why you have the archive and unlimited storage. So as soon as you complete something, go ahead and help your team out by just archiving it and getting it out of the active page. Okay, so we kind of already walked through how to handle alerts here. Before we move on, I'll just give you a brief overview of the filtering. So you get an alert here from Stephanie for the Bleecker Street Cafe. Maybe we want to go check out the files in the files page. I'm going to start by filtering. The quickest way here is you can filter by the account, and then I want to also filter by just client uploads. That way I get rid of anything that was uploaded by the firm. Now you have in all files client upload, or you also remember you have the client upload tag. You can choose whichever one you'd like here. So I filtered by the client uploads. So you'll see that a save tag was already added. And the way you can do that is you can select multiple files at a time. And then you have a bulk option down here to add and remove tags and find and replace. So maybe we added the save tag already, and now maybe we want to add a year. I can go ahead and do so and add that in. So once I'm done, I've taken care of all of the tagging, the next step is to archive. So everything's still going to be selected as far as your files go, and the last step is to archive. So it's really that simple. Then that way, anybody notices that it's not on the active page, they'll notice it will be under archive, and archive will mean, okay, it's already been taken care of. Okay, so that's how you can manage the files with your alert section. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring this over to Lindsay to talk about the next section.
All right, awesome. Get my screen shared. Okay. All right, let's talk about the next section. We'll keep taking questions as you guys kind of think of them. So we've heard this a lot from you guys, right? Client A doesn't want everyone in our firm to have access to their information. Maybe your main accountant is neighbors with client A. And client A is like, I don't really want my neighbor to know how I afforded a hot tub next door, like in my backyard, right? So they don't want access to everything. My part-time employee only works on 4 accounts, or my employee is a contractor. She doesn't need access to every account. So there are 2 specific features in Liscio that you can use to help address these scenarios. Number 1 is a user type specialist. Number 2 is an account setting that is admins only for restricted accounts. We're going to go into specialists first, and then we'll touch on restricted accounts. So a specialist is someone that an admin user can designate. Only admins can actually designate user types and assign those accounts to specialists. Specialists will only see accounts they are assigned to. That does include the contact records that have a relationship with that account, okay? So this is where it can get a little hairy as far as what can they see, what's shared with them. So we're gonna go through quite a bit of stuff for this. So I do want to show you real quick though, how do you set up a specialist in Liscio? What does that look like? Now this is only, you can only do this if you're an admin, okay? So keep that in mind. So I'm going to go into Liscio, and the way that you're going to be able to tell if you're an admin is if you click these 3 dots and you choose admin. If you're not an admin, this option just won't show up for you. I'm going to go into users, and then I will go to my employees tab. Now we're going to focus on this role. So you can do this when you are setting up a brand new employee, or if you just need to edit an employee. So let's say Janelle, for example, she switched to a contractor for us. She's no longer an actual firm employee. She's a contractor. So what I'm going to do, sorry, I'm moving my Zoom window. What I'm going to do is actually edit the employee right here. And this role dropdown is where I'm going to actually change her to a specialist. And now this is going to be the same exact screen that you'll get if you're adding a new employee. So you'll just choose specialist from the role dropdown. And then I'm going to update. So Janelle, as soon as she tries to go to a different page or anything, it's actually going to make those changes right on her account. So she's going to have limited access to accounts now. But let's say I need to assign accounts to Janelle. What I'm going to do is use this assign accounts icon. And this is going to allow me to go in and see what account she is actually already tied to. So right now we only have her on 4 accounts because she's a contractor. She doesn't do a whole lot of work for us right now. I can very easily remove her from any account that I need. And then I can also use this assign accounts button to come in here and search for additional accounts. If I have, another branch of Dunder Mifflin, I can just add her onto those right there. And that's going to give her access to that account, okay? So that's how you assign and, assign someone as a specialist and assign accounts to them. So pretty straightforward. Again, it is only something you can do if you're an admin user. Okay, let's get back to it. So what does specialists see? So specialists will see everything related to the accounts that they are assigned to. That means tasks, messages, files, notes, etc. They will also see the contact record that is associated to that account, okay? Now this can get a little sticky, as I said. So we're gonna go through some scenarios. I wanna take you guys through these just to kind of give you, an idea of what happens if there are multiple contacts or multiple accounts, right? So let's go through scenarios. Now let me know, Emily, if there are questions that pop up as I'm going through this, feel free to stop me and we can stop and answer questions just like we did with you.
Will do.
Awesome. So scenario 1. Okay, so we've got Jamel as a client. And so he's a contact in the system, right? And he has 2 accounts with us. He has XYZ Company and also Axe Capital. And employee A is on one account as a specialist, but not the other. So they are a specialist on XYZ Company, but not Axe Capital. But they have a shared contact, right? So since the contact is shared between the 2 accounts, will the specialist see anything related to Axe Capital? The answer is no. The employee will not see any information about Axe Capital, even if the contact is shared between 2 accounts. So this means though, as long as those files, messages, etc., are tied to Axe Capital, they will not have access to those items, okay? I think we're okay on questions. So I'm gonna wait for a second, okay? Scenario 2. Let's say, for example, that employee A has not had a whole lot of coffee this morning. And when they go to upload a file to Jamie's contact record, and Jamie's account is Floral Wonders, employee B is a specialist on Floral Wonders. But let's say employee A, because they didn't have their coffee, they forget to assign the account to the file they uploaded. So they uploaded it to Jamie's contact record, but they completely forgot to tie it to her account. So the question is, can employee B, who's the specialist, can they still access that file even though it's only associated with the contact record, meaning that file is not tied to any account? The answer is yes. That file will still be visible to the specialist because it was only tied to the contact record and not tied to any account. And specialists always have access to the account and the contact record. And this is why, guys, this is why it's super important that anytime you're sending a message, a file, a note, a to-do, a task, whatever, it's always really important to tie everything to the contact and the account. So you want those two to be together at all times, right? So keep that in mind. So another question that we often get is, can I share files and messages with a specialist if they aren't assigned to a specific account, right? So if a specialist needs access to a file or a message that's not on an account they're tied to, you can share that one item with them and that one item only. You don't have to give them complete access to an account. For example, let's say an employee gets a message from a client and it's not their expertise, and they know that the specialist is going to know the answer. They can actually include that specialist on the message thread, even if it's an account that they aren't associated with. But this is also a good reminder, guys. In a message thread, so you have multiple messages, you've got one topic in a thread, right? Whenever you do add a new recipient to the message thread, they will be able to see all past messages. So you want to be careful when you do that, because if you're talking about a lot of sensitive stuff and then you add the specialist in because of one question, they will see all of the past. So in those cases, you can always just start a new message thread if you'd like, or message the specialist behind the scenes and act like you're the expert and then message them back. So that works too. So let's see. Any questions, Emily, that you see popping up that we should answer live for specialists?
We do have one. Somebody's asking about the fee for specialists. Do they get charged monthly?
Does the firm get charged a monthly fee for specialists? I believe they are, because they are a user, they would be included in your monthly fee. I'm pretty sure. Is that correct, Emily?
Yes. I think that once you add them on, they are considered, another user, and then that would go towards the monthly fee as well.
Okay, gotcha. And I think if they were to be removed, if they're a part-time employee, they're removed, I think then they would contact us and let us know that they are dropping a user. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you guys have maybe an intern or a contractor that's only doing work with you for so many months, just let us know when that person is no longer with you and we can take them off. Or if you have somebody new joining and you want to use that, keep that user for them, another intern, let's say, then you can just keep it on. But either way, if you want to drop somebody off, you just let us know.
Mm-hmm. And we have a really good question from Tessa. Tessa's asking, if we don't plan on using specialists, do we still need to tie to the contact and the account? My answer is always yes. Because if you were to send a message thread to just the contact, you want to, basically when you're working in Liscio, you want to have, a standard place where every team member goes to view things about that account. So if you're just messaging with the contact and it's not tied to the account, your team member, they're going to have to go to the account tab first to see where that message is. If it's not there, then they're going to have to go to the contact. And if the client if you've got a contact that has 5 different accounts, you want to be able to differentiate between your message threads, between your files and stuff like that. So we always recommend tying it to the contact and the account. It's a really good practice to get into. So I hope that answered the question. Okay. Yep. You're welcome, Tessa. Absolutely. Okay. So I do want to show you guys what it looks like on the specialist side. Like, what do they actually see? What do they see when they get logged in? So I'm going to go into Liscio. I have Janelle here, who I actually just designated as a specialist when I edited her employee record. And I believe she was tied to 4 accounts or 5 accounts. So when she goes to her accounts tab in Liscio, she only is able to see the 5 accounts that she's tied to. This is also going to be on the contacts page. She will only see the contacts that have a relationship with those accounts she's assigned to. So she has a little bit of a limited access here, okay? So you're gonna see it's limited. Now I do wanna point out, whenever she's in a list view, when she's looking at tasks, if she's looking at files, whatever it is, when she goes to this account filter, she's actually only going to have access to see the accounts that she's tied to. So all of the other accounts that she's tied to will not actually show, or if she's not tied to the account, they're not going to show up on her filter list. Okay, keep that in mind. This is actually going to work the same exact way for when she sends messages. If she were to go and create a brand new message and she clicks on the accounts, section right here to add it and tie it to the account, she only has the accounts that she is a specialist on. Now her recipient list, obviously that's going to include employees in Liscio, but it will also include the contacts that are tied to that account. So keep that in mind. So they just have a limited view. This is great for if you don't want everyone to have access. If you have, contractors, or if you have an employee that maybe shares a relationship with one of your clients of some sort, you want to try and restrict their information a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's do just a quick recap. Specialists will see accounts they are assigned to, including the contacts that are associated with those accounts. But if you need to, you can share items, outside items with them, right? If they're not assigned to an account. Any questions coming in that we should address, Emily, you think?
There is one I'd like to address, but it's about something a little different. So we'll hold off to answer
Sure.
Caitlin's question in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. We'll keep going then. Okay. So let's see. So I want to talk a little bit about when you have a client or a firm owner that may not want everyone in the firm to have access to that information, right? So let's say, I just saw Vic had a question. I have a question. Vic sent a question in. I have a question for Lindsay. When she rides that bike, how long does she get her bike helmet on with that great long hair? It takes a minute. And then my hair looks really, really, really bad afterwards. This hair does not work with helmet hair or hat hair. So you won't see me wearing hats very often. If I'm wearing a hat, it's because I had a bad hair day to start with. So like the day after camping, when you wake up in the tent and you're just like, oh man, I smell like campfire. It's a hat day. That's a hat day for sure.
I love it.
Yeah. So just had to answer that. Oh, I did want to answer Peter's question actually real quick. He asked, do bankers and attorney contacts tied to an account see everything in that account? So yes, bankers cannot see everything unless if you were to designate them as an account owner, then they would be able to, but that is not turned on by default. It's turned off by default, and you would actually have to go in and give them access. So just wanted to answer that real quick. Okay. So back to, client or firm owners don't want everyone in our firm to have access. So maybe you guys do, you guys do your tax returns. The firm owners do their tax returns. They don't want everyone to have access to that, right? This is where restricted accounts come into play. These are designated by admins only, and the accounts are only visible to admins. And if you assign members to their client service team, you would be granting them access to that restricted account. Okay. So this is a super easy setup. And this, like I said, this is admins only though. If you are a firm employee, you will not be able to check that box. But all you do is you go in and edit the account and you check the restricted account box. That's it. It's very simple. But like I said, if you're a firm employee, if you're a specialist even, you will not have the option to check or uncheck this box. It is admins only. Now, I do also want to point out, admins will also have the ability to filter their account list. So when you go into your account list, you will have a restricted accounts checkbox that you can check so you can see all of your restricted accounts. Any restricted accounts will also have this like no access symbol. Also, just a side note for this symbol right here, Emily and I were trying for for the life of us to figure out what you call this symbol. And we came up with no access symbol. So we have no idea.
It's
But
better than what Google said, which just called it a no symbol symbol.
yeah,
So
no simple
it's
symbol.
like
So yeah, we were like, okay, great. This was helpful. But so when you're looking at your account list, you will see a restricted account will have that icon. But like I mentioned, the admins are the only ones that will see restricted accounts on their list. So again,
wait, we have some light shed on the symbol name. Kevin, thank you. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Shun?
Shun symbol. All right.
Shun?
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
I just thought everyone might like to know that we have a real name for it.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Like Dwight from The Office, where he shunned others. Oh, okay.
Shun. Okay.
We're all Office fans here. But so restricted accounts, they will not even show on the account list for non-admins unless they are a member of the client service team. So they will not even show up on the account list. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay. So admins and the accounts client service team are the only users who have access to files and messages that are tied to restricted accounts. But this is just like the specialist feature, where if you need to share a file or a message with a non-admin or non-CST member, you can share that one item and that one item only, right? So you don't have to give them full access to the account. If you need someone to review, if you've got your top accountant, you got a complicated return on one of your clients, you need them to take a look at the file, you can share that one with them without giving them full access to the account. So I do want to show you a little bit about restricted accounts. Okay, let's go back to Liscio. And first, I just want to show you how it looks on the accounts list. So I am logged in as an admin on this one, and I'm going to switch between two different logins, so I'll let you guys know. But here, I am actually logged in as an admin. When I go to my accounts list, I can actually filter by restricted accounts. So I can check that box. It's going to show me my restricted accounts. You'll notice our little shun symbol right here, where you can see that it's restricted. Now, I do also want to show you when you go into, and I'm going to clear this filter real quick. So if I come into like, I don't know, Andrew's art exhibit, because I am an admin, I can edit this account and I can designate it as a restricted account. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and update it there. I can also assign people to the client service team so they have access to that restricted account. But right now, admins can only see these. Now I'm going to go into ABC Company and I'm going to add Megan Gonzalez onto the client service team. Okay, so she's just a firm employee. She's not a specialist, not an admin, just a firm employee. So I'm adding her to the client service team here. And so right here, I'm going into Firefox, guys, and this is Megan Gonzalez's login. She is logged in as a firm employee. So, and okay, there we go. Internet's just a little slow. So what I want to show you is on her accounts page, you will see that she has access to a couple of these restricted accounts, but this is because she is a member of the client service team. So for example, let's look back at our previous login. We had, for restricted accounts, we had Abbey Road, right? Now, when I go in here, I'm going to show you that Megan is not a member of the client service team on Abbey Road. So when Megan looks at her account list, Abbey Road does not show up, okay? Now, if she were to, let's say she wanted to come in here and she was like, I'm gonna show everyone this account, right? If she was feeling a little scandalous that day, she will not be able to change this at all unless she's an admin. Okay, so this is where you will see the shun symbol again. Thank you, Kevin. She she does not have the ability to actually come in here and change this at all. She does, though, you will see, she does have access to the account completely. But if she is not on the client service team of a restricted account, she will not see this account. Okay, so this is really good if you have, you know, conflicting relationships between a client and an employee, or if you have a firm owner account, anything like that. Emily, any questions that have been popping up that we should address with them?
No, I think we are good.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. So just to do a quick recap, Restricted accounts are assigned by admins only. They are viewable by admins and the members of that client service team. That's it. Okay. So I have a special guest here with us today. Would the special guest like to
Special guest?
reveal themselves? Special guest.
Oh.
Okay.
You're too much. You're too much.
Also, your name. Do you realize that your name is my name on here?
Oh, you know, it couldn't be better. You know, especially it makes me think of my son when he watches Sesame Street in the morning. They always have a special guest, and it's always.
Well, you're our special guest today, so we'll let you go ahead and get to it.
Fantastic. So, do you have it on the right slide? Has everybody seen the upcoming feature slide?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So, just a quick follow-up. I know many of you have been following our roadmap meetings and so forth. So we want to give you an update of what to expect over the next couple of months. So we've got a couple of just absolutely massive features coming out, and the first I'd like to go through is the deepening connection to Microsoft. I know most of you are using Microsoft out there. We are not going to ignore, I just want to get this out of the way early, we're not going to ignore Google. So Google will come after Microsoft, okay? We're just going where most people are. October 15th, just a couple weeks from now, we will launch in production the Microsoft OneDrive integration. So this is an extension of our strategy for those of you who like to have permanent files separate in one place, directory structure, the whole nine. Microsoft OneDrive integration will help you. You'll be able to launch OneDrive, attach files to OneDrive, etc., directly from Liscio. So that just streamline things. We will add SharePoint to that. That'll come after. But this gives us a major toehold into the Microsoft file ecosystem. Also, 1 month after that, Microsoft Outlook integration. So many of you have seen the prelims on that from our roadmap meeting. Just a quick overview there. The Microsoft Outlook integration, which will cover 365 and Exchange. We'll cover them both. That's going to allow you to take a message in your inbox and create a message, log it as a message in Liscio, or create a task. It could be a to-do task or a client task, or log it as an internal note. You can do all that directly from Microsoft Outlook. So we're going to have that out in the wild for you in just a couple more weeks. Also, super excited about this one, the third bullet point, Liscio Desktop V2. So those of you using that today know that you can basically print a PDF from any system into Liscio. We're going to take this to the next level. This version coming out in about 4 weeks is going to allow you to print the file in the Liscio as you do today, but we're going to invoke a pop-up that's going to allow you to assign the contact and account or multiple of them. You'll also be able to tag the file immediately and compose a message and hit send. One smooth motion gets all of it done. At the same time, I know many of you who are using Liscio Desktop today said, why do you make these things private? We want them to be public by default. We're going to do that. We're going to give you all that control right there in product, okay? So that's going to be absolutely killer. And I'm going to jump around here just slightly. Please let me do that. You're going to see Liscio Desktop V2. Machine learning is going to be included in that this year. So we're going to be able to, based on file name and so forth, to guess how to tag the file. So when you print it to us, we're going to take a guess at it. We're going to learn based on your preferences. That's going to continue to eliminate clicks on your side. So human in the loop, we'll guess at it. If we get it right, great. If we didn't get it right, change it. Just as easy to change it as to enter it once the first time anyway, right? So it will save you work. And then I'm going to jump down to the bottom bit. We're going to add to that templates. So when you think about templates, the important part in this case is you're going to have a message template. So when you're pushing tax returns through, you know, at high rates, print it out of your tax software. We'll guess how to allocate it. You pick the recipients. You pick the template you want to send. You hit send. It's going to streamline delivery massively for highly repetitive stuff. So we're working hard already on our templates design. Templates will also cover task templates. So if you want to have different task templates you would assign to people, It's going to save you a lot more there too. And it's going to be essentially our toehold is going to go as a good toehold for getting into task templates with subtasks. So you can see how that's going to line up. But we're looking to get message templates in Q1 to save you all a lot of extra clicks. Okay, so back on to the fifth bullet, Liscio invoicing. So that's invoicing your clients. We're looking at December, January. We're looking at ACH plus credit card options. And we're looking at tying it into Liscio Desktop V2. So if you're using another third-party software to generate your invoices, you'll be able to push invoices straight into us and then use those to bill your clients directly through Liscio. We'll have the ACH on file. We'll put the money right in your bank. Okay. We will tie that into QBO. I'm thinking we'll tie that into QBO in the first quarter as well. Okay. But we have some more work to get through for that. I know Kevin's here as well today. So Kevin, I'm sure you already saw this. Reassign accounts on messages. Sometimes, if a client has multiple accounts, they will not always pick the right account when they're talking to you. We're going to give you the ability to fix that. We want to get that in there for tax season. We see that's when a lot of this stuff happens. So a lot of things coming out in just the next couple of months. We will continue to update you in our Facebook, through email, and so forth, and in our additional webinars coming up. But those are the highlights. Okay. So just wanted to pass those on. Thank you, ladies, for including me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anytime.
Kevin said, thanks for not shunning me.
Not possible.
Not possible. Okay, we can do a little bit of a Q&A. We just have a few questions. Chris, we actually do have a question about one of the upcoming features that I'll have you weigh in on, because you'll probably know a little bit more about it than me. Vic is asking, well, first of all, he says, what's the name of our mystery guest? But he was like, just kidding. But he's asking, will task templates be like a checklist of steps within a task? What's that going to look like?
We think so. We think, for a lot of you, let's say you're onboarding a client, and onboarding can be a fairly complex task. You need to get X, Y, Z from them. What if we could give you a template, which is your onboarding template, which tells the client all the stuff you're going to need, and maybe it even links out to, for example, a Microsoft or a Google form for some intake. Maybe it links out to an Adobe Sign document to get their ACH authorization, but you can basically create a checklist task from a template, right? That's the end state. That's where we want to go. To just take all of those repetitive motions that everybody has for so much of the business and templatize them. So it's a major engine we're building. I'm not sure. Developers are going to tell us soon how they're going to be able to roll this out, but we know that message templates, super important soon, but long-term, its ability to templatize just about anything. And we're building an engine to, we hope, cover as much of the use, or as many of the use cases as you all have out there. So Vic and anybody else, if you have certain ideas in mind, please go ahead and send them over to us, chris@liscio.me, or send them to our support team. We'll all be talking about them, and we'll sit down with our product management team and see what we can do. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. A couple of questions regarding client service team. Emily, I'll probably have you answer this if that's okay. Yes. Questions just about how do we set up the CST? How do we bulk assign accounts to an employee, or is it just one by one?
Okay. Well, let's start with how it looks one by one. So Lindsay, you can feel free to share, or I can share it.
Oh yeah, here, I will let you actually share if you'd like, because we're going to have you share anyways for the poll.
Okay, perfect. All right, right in Liscio here. Okay, so if you go to the accounts page on the left-hand side, what you'll notice is when you click on an account, the upper right-hand corner has that client service team. Now, it's going to have a circle here where you can add any employee or specialist or admin to the client service team. If there are 5 people on the client service team, you'll no longer be seeing this additional circle because that's the maximum. So I can add myself, I can add others. I can also really quickly remove people. Let's say I'm replacing Chris on this, and so I can just quickly remove him and keep adding people if I would like to. So that's going to be how you kind of manually add them one-on-one. The admins also have a section. On the left-hand side, the 3 little dots, we'll click admin and users. Now, Lindsay kind of goes over this or went over this in the specialist section, but just know that when you're on the employees tab, you can actually assign accounts to any employee or specialist right here. So I could go by Megan Gonzalez specifically and go down the list and manually add her to any existing account. So that's going to be how you do it on more of a manual basis. Let's say that you want to mass update all client service teams. What you'll do is you'll request some help from our team, the support team. We are actually going to have our developers help us pull an entire report of your accounts. And then we'll send you an Excel sheet where you'll fill out, you know, every person you want on each client service team member. And then you just send that back to us and we're going to update that data for you. So that's how you would do it in bulk. You just request some help from our support team, fill out the information for us, but then we'll upload on the back end for you. Okay.
Awesome. I think those are all the questions we had for right now. So if you go back to the deck, I think we're ready for our poll. So guys, this poll that we're doing is specifically about the resource package. We are asking you if you would like us to send you a resource package following the webinar. Again, and you can put this up whenever you'd like. You can start it if you'd want.
Let's start it now.
Sure, go ahead. So this resource package is going to include webinar slides. So you'll get all of the slides here just in case you want to dive a little bit deeper into the specialist feature or anything like that. We will also have some knowledge-based articles that point to the features in more detail. We're going to link our private Facebook group on there for you guys as well in case you aren't on that just yet and would like to join. So feel free. And then I had a question from Donald that I just wanted to answer. He's asking, what is external ID? Would this be a client ID from our tax system? That's correct. Yes. If you're using client IDs in your system, we would export those and they would be used as external IDs. That's correct. So we'll leave this up. We're going to send it either through Liscio or through email, however you guys would prefer. And then we'll leave it up for, I don't know, we'll do a couple more seconds, let you guys get your answers in. And everyone ready for Friday following the deadline?
I love having webinars on a Thursday because tomorrow's Friday.
I know, right? Because it's so funny because guys, Emily and I, like 5 minutes before this webinar, we're always like, just like freaked out. And then towards the end, I'm like, wow, that was easy.
That was great. We love spending time with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fun, especially because, you know, webinars like this, Emily and I know these features so well. So it's just kind of, it's pretty easy for us to get them together for you guys. So we're definitely going to have more webinars like this in the future where we do more of a deep dive into a specific topic. So we'll leave this poll up. I'm going to do a countdown from 10 seconds. Okay. So we're going to do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You guys didn't need me to do this. 5.
Nope, I'm going to end the poll. 3, 2, 1.
That's totally fair. Great. Oh, we had a question from Michelle that I just wanted to answer just real quick. Michelle's saying, I have a do not reply on my list. That is the do not reply user in your Liscio account is the support team. You guys can take away our access at any point if you'd like. We just use it to get you guys set up initially. And then obviously if you ever have an issue in your account, we can use that to take a look. But you can take away our access at any point and give it back as well.